welcome to the Techno-Communism Conversation. I'm Yohanan Ben Zion, voice crying out in the wilderness, crying out for a technological New Jerusalem. Emphasis on the technological. I have not done too much of this a live business on Twitter, x.com before, so I did a space, I guess yesterday, and now I'm doing a live. Part of the reason for this is gravitating away from a marginally worse website, Facebook, and I used to make these kind of videos with little more editing, putting some images and things along these lines. I don't do that anymore. I just prefer to go live somewhere and then post it to some other sites. And so I'm trying that out here on Twitter. I keep seeing these ridiculous images of Trump and Elon Musk, Elon Musk is very, very fond of posting on this website that he hostilely acquired and sabotaged, effectively sabotaging the global water cooler, the public square, so he could do things like reinstall fascist, neo-fascist president, the world's most notorious climate denier, Donald Trump. Why is this person who only became a public figure, Elon Musk, only became a public figure and wealthy person through sweetheart government contracts, all orchestrated to see that he would be a popularizer of green capitalism, a preposterous thing to do, a preposterous thing to become famous for and wealthy for, because there's no green capitalism. There is only the greening of a corporation is the end of a corporation. The corporation is by its nature unsustainable. Financial capital is by its nature unsustainable. And this person is one of the world's all-time great charlatans for these very reasons. So why is this green personality on stage in various forms with the world's most notorious climate denier, who has somehow been re-elected as U.S. president in the second non-consecutive term? This, I view the Gaza genocide, which occurred, I think of the October surprise of the 2024 election occurring in October of 2023, with the aftermath of the October 7th liberation action, which was weaponized by the fascist U.S. and fascist Israel, who knew about this in advance and have behaved quite insanely ever since, doing things like killing 500,000 Arabs, mostly in Palestine, in this year since. And I view that thing that a genocide of, in certain respects, as horrible as any in its impact on the popular imagination. And any murder of any number of people is a horror, and this is quite bad. I view, nevertheless, this October surprise as a quite intentional on the part of these um, fascist, techno-fascist, uh, uh, Western ruling elites representing, in this case, the United States and Israel, um, as um, a ploy to reinstall a climate denier, whereas without this fog of war, I believe people would have been doing something closer to their due diligence in seeing that um, some response to capitalism's climate apocalypse, reining in the U.S. fascist military-industrial complex, the world's worst polluter, and champion protector of all other super polluters, um, enforcing a global and inescapable regime of super pollution by being this military fascist monstrosity. Um, uh, that this would have people would have been um, doing what they need to do to bring that thing to heel or dismantle that, and that is based on the revelation in 2023 that something that was already well understood before that by most people, but there was a deeper understanding of exactly the ticking clock there, which is that we are facing capitalism's climate apocalypse, and that roughly 2029 we would reach runaway overheating, which would transform the ecosystems of planet Earth to such a degree that simian life, yourself, your primate, would be wholly unsustainable, except for people like Mark Chucklefuck, um, who have built a circular ecosystem of their own in the form of a bunker that might survive for some hundreds of years. But everybody else who hasn't spent some tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on specialized infrastructure is going to go the way of the dinosaur. That is a near certainty based on the path that we are on at present. So why, knowing this, every scientist with even a little bit of intellectual honesty knows this, and yet somehow the fascist United States has reelected the world's most notorious climate denier. Well, there's no explanation of that without this October surprise of October 2023. This effectively, what is not to diminish the genocidal action, but it's effectively the performative proxy war to create these effects of the fog of war, wherein everything that the fascist United States has ever done has always been on behalf of the ruling elites, which is to say, on behalf of private wealth. So things like national military fascism don't always strike people as being a feature of private wealth. They think of it as another thing, and they think of their various bourgeois nationalistic or patriotic inclinations, which I have not met people who are not in possession of some. Not really. I've met some people that seem to have managed to avoid a bourgeois filth in the form of people who've written books that I've read, and a handful of people that I've interacted with in some roundabout way. But in actuality, in meeting someone for lunch, things along those lines. No, indeed, I have not met people who are not fascist sympathizers. in the fascist United States or fascist West. Um, sorry, you guys fucking suck. It's the most accurate thing that you can say about the West is that it's populated by this people who are 9% of the planet Earth, European descended people. They are overwhelmingly fascists and fascist sympathizers. So this you would not refer to these people as European descended people. You would refer to them as European descended fascist pigs. And your unwillingness to engage with people of this kind in this way is a not insubstantial part of the problem of capitalism's climate apocalypse. Right? There's no capitalism's climate apocalypse without a tremendous amount of moral cowardice among this 9% of human beings that have a massively outsized influence on world affairs. And I meet a European descended person, and this is where I was relating this to Elon Musk. I would suggest that you immediately, if they're a male particularly, call them KKK motherfucker. Just say, you, my friend, are a KKK motherfucker. And then maybe that's the end of it, right? You don't have to deal with them anymore. That's one less KKK motherfucker that you have to deal with. But if they are, to some degree, not a KKK motherfucker, then they might try to explain their engagement with things like liberation and revolutionary thought, or the building of a humane and sustainable economic system. And if they have any consciousness of that kind at all, which they almost certainly will not, then you might have some basis for having a relationship with them. And the reason that I mention Musk in this context is because he posts this sort of thing all the time, contextualizing the tendency to want to build a humane and sustainable economic system, which is a cultural as much as an institutional necessity, as not a healthy impulse, but an unhealthy impulse that's hurtful to people like him, to KKK motherfuckers. And that motherfucker is definitely KKK motherfucker. The centering the feelings of the ruling elites and KKK motherfuckers generally to such a degree that you cannot even have a conversation about changing systems, formations, cultural things at all. Like, what are you doing, right? Like, if your ancestors, people who were free people, 100 generations of them anyway, or 99 out of 100 generations of them were free people. They lived close to the land with no masters. 100 generations of your ancestors, anatomically modern humans, toiling in the muck all of their lives. If they saw you rolling over like a dog for the people that are killing the planet, because you don't want to hurt those people's feelings. These people, your ancestors, were they alive, I expect that they would involuntarily projectile vomit the very thought of you. Again, what is this thing, the European descended person? It's a subhuman monstrosity at best. These are fascists and fascist sympathizers responsible for the death of humankind. And you say, I don't know, Ben, that's a little hurtful. Well, you know what else is going to be hurtful? When your unwillingness to stand up to these institutions and formations and cultural garbage causes the extinction of humankind. At that point, there will be no distinction between brown-skinned folks and light-skinned folks, because it will be as if none of this had ever happened. And maybe Chucklefuck will be in his bunker, a few dozen people will be in their bunkers doing weird stuff in VR and wishing that they hadn't caused this thing, but not really wishing that, right? Because they're pretty happy with that outcome. But there will be effectively no human beings left. That is the path that we're on. We're converting planet Earth into something that, for all intents and purposes, more resembles the planet Venus. There has never been a stupider creature than the European descended fascist pig. There's never been a more insane creature. This is the same thing, separating slow-wittedness and insanity is not a real useful undertaking. It covers a multitude of sins there, right? Like, I have met people who an awful lot of people regard as being very intelligent, for example, in the tech world. But overwhelmingly, these people, European descended fascist pigs, that we're really talking about, are people who are so handicapped by bourgeois ideological filth, particularly empire, neoconservatism, neoliberalism, far-right capitalism, and other fascistic preoccupations, so handicapped by these things that all of their work is for naught. So you might look at them and say, my God, there's something really interesting going on here. Yuval Harari has something really interesting going on there. No. That is a capitalist pig. There's something complicated going on. That thing would be more correctly described as insane, and therefore stupid, than actually intelligent, despite whatever bells and whistles you might be impressed with by people of this kind. I usually, this is a conversation titled, I will title it Cybernetic Communism, also like the spaces thing. I'll share a book title with you, a book that I've quite enjoyed. It's not too long, and also it's available in an audiobook form. I've read quite a number of books along these lines. I guess I'll share some links there too. But this one that I've read more recently relates to advanced technology and scientific communism. And it's called Four Futures, Life After Capitalism by Peter Fraze. And it's the sort of thing I wish there were more, a larger body of work to do with cybernetic communism. There's such a large body of work to do with scientific communism that is of interest to human beings, but the great mass of this is more, let's say, in a word, Sovietology than 21st century scientific communism. And Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. I wish that weren't the case, but it is. And so while these people are doing things of interest, I'm not sure what